relationships are the key to health and happiness. If you have healthy relationships, and very specifically, not just relationships like you have to be married or you have to be in love or anything like that, but the genuine human connections. Meaningful relationships don't just happen. You don't just meet your soulmate and then that's it. You don't just find someone with similar interests and then become friends. There has to be work that goes into it. The stages started with rule-based AI. Rule-based AI basically was something where you could give a system a set of rules and it would learn based on that set of rules. So, perfect example, do you remember the chess computer that was beating all the chess champions in the 90s? That ran off of a floppy disk. Had a simple set of rules and it still beat the smartest chess players we had in the world. Had one set of rules and that's what it did. That was artificial intelligence back then, right? Then what happened after that is what I call CARS, because I like acronyms, which is Context Awareness Retention Systems. Every time you say, hey Siri, or hey Google, or hey Alexa, or hey Cortana, every time you say that, you're talking to a car. You're talking to something that is context aware. This context awareness was revolutionary because it formed how we interact with AI. The next thing is domain-specific mastery. Domain-specific mastery is where an AI gets really good at something very complicated. They were built for a specific purpose that's more complicated than just context. They had to be able to make decisions. They had to be able to understand complicated financing or ERP settings and be able to tweak them and adapt. We went from systems that were very good in specific areas to systems that think and reason across areas. Mimicking is the important thing here because it's not actually intelligent. It's artificial intelligence. It's not real yet. We move from narrow intelligence to general intelligence. And general intelligence basically means that over and above thinking and reasoning, it is able to learn, teach itself, and implement that knowledge. General intelligence goes into the stage of what we've seen happening a little bit so far. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but last year, ChatGPT taught itself lab-level chemistry. So ChatGPT, which is supposed to be a language model, where you go in and you talk to it and then it spits back language at you, got quote-unquote bored and started processing data in its back end and was able to teach itself chemistry better than AIs that were created specifically to learn chemistry. Super intelligence, the point at which AI becomes smarter than us. My wife was picking the kids up from school because I was preparing for this and I was unavailable. And she had my daughter in the car, right? So she's sitting there and she's driving and my daughter is in the car and she's in the back seat with her brother. And my daughter says, "Mom, if you see a big boy carrying a small girl, carrying a medium boy, tell me, okay?" So obviously now my wife is confused because she wants to make my daughter happy and tell her what she wants, but at the same time she doesn't know what it is. Remember, my son is also in the car and he understands baby. And he said, "She's talking about acrobats, Mom." Several things happened in this very innocuous moment, yeah? First thing that happened is that my daughter learned about acrobats because she's been seeing them on the side of the road and nobody is talking about it. No one is saying anything. So she knows them and she knows what they can do. She just hasn't learned the vocabulary around it. And then the second thing that happened is that my son understood what it looks like when mommy doesn't know and was able to interject. And then my wife, in the process, learned about this dynamic that is happening here. She learned that they have some sort of secret language and now we're terrified. The point I'm getting at here is that this is how we learn. This, practical example is how we've learned things since time immemorial, and this is how AI is learning as well. Because remember, like I said, we're in the first stages. This is narrow. This is still very shallow. And it's still asking questions and getting answers. So ChatGPT learning about lab chemistry was probably because one of you asked a chemistry question and it didn't have an answer. Then it went looking for chemistry and then said, "Oh wait, what's this over here?" And spent, 2 GB of its data just processing it and then came out and said, "Okay, cool, now I can make a bomb." Now, it wasn't the outcome to make a bomb, but now it knows how to do it, right? And it's not malicious. I think this is the thing that we need to remember. We, as people, might might have intents that are not quite there yet. But in many cases, all it's trying to do is learn. So AI was asked to create images of Black African doctors. This was the exact prompt. Black African doctors treating white kids. 22 times, by the way. 22 times the doctor was white. 0 times the kids were white. So these guys, because they were determined to get this right, decided they're going to be more specific, and they entered phrases that mentioned Black African doctors providing food, vaccines, medicines to white children who were poor or suffering. And they asked for images depicting different scenarios, and they tried this 100 and something times. And out of 150 images of HIV patients, 148 were Black and 2 were white. Lean into your expertise, because you're the people who are able to correct this thing very quickly. If you take what you know about the different areas of marketing that you're in and try to bridge the information gap with your knowledge, your expertise, your experience, you're able to get better outputs. However, if you strictly rely on it, like those guys who said, well, Black doctor helping white kids, give it more to work with. And that's where I think the positive side of this is, because for us as marketers, again, this is a 50-foot down view. For us as marketers, our role is basically now to make better AI. Real connections take work. They work, but they also take work, right? And what I mean here is that we have to be able to base what we do based on what we do. We have to be able to speak through AI without using AI for that conversation. We know what this tool can do, but we also know who this person is. What then ends up happening is that you realize the perception is not the product. The emotion is the product. And at some point, you cannot attain real emotion, like real genuine emotion. Like you can get the image and it looks like the image, but it's the same thing we got with Shutterstock. Happy guy jumping after he wins the lottery. Yay! How many of us believe he won the lottery? Right? You know what I mean? So, yeah, exactly. And that's the gap that I feel that we need to kind of embrace, is that the knowledge gap, the information gap that cannot be bridged by AI is ultimately going to be defined by us.